afternoon, mothers, teacher, friends, and everyone who is interested in death and dying. On behalf of Chulalongkorn University, Chulalongkorn Hospital, and Palliative Care Center, we are very proud to have Master Khenpo Sodargye here. He relied on Thamma King Jigme Konsut Rinpoche as his guru. So for Thai people, we know King Jigme very well. So we impressed with his manner. So we think the thinking of Tibetan Buddhists is very interesting, and it may make us to have some insight about death and dying that we face every day in our hospital. So for the first section, Master Khenpo Sodargye will give some basic about the reincarnation, and then we'll talk about the wisdom of dying in practice. And then he encourages us to have practical questions that we can discuss together. So everyone, please welcome Khenpo Sodargye.
Today I am honored to be here with all of you to discuss the content, to discuss together what may be called wisdom at life's end, or decoding samsara's secret. We'll explore and study these topics together from two perspectives. We did not come into this world without causes and conditions. We did not grow from the earth, nor did we descend from the heavens. Every one of us living in this world because of specific causes and conditions. Buddhism has its own unique understanding of these conditions. Science is also exploring them. I believe that all of us gathered here today as Thai people, we have all been raised with faith since childhood and also acknowledge the existence of samsara. Regarding one's past life, present life, and future life, I believe everyone has a clear understanding of these causes and conditions. The continuation of life is something that each of us should pay attention to. If we only understand the brief span of this present life, without studying the existence of future lives or investigating where our past lives came from, then we are not very different from animals. So I wonder, for all of us here, how much concern do we have about the continuation of life? I often hear people say that in this life, the principle of good deeds bring good results and evil deeds bring evil results. And everyone understands this principle. But truly reflecting on how the virtuous karma of this life continues into the next, and how future karma will in turn affect the life after that, not many people pay attention to this. Therefore, today, as a Tibetan Buddhist monk, with the understanding and research I have accumulated, in Thailand, 98% of people believe in Buddhism. But truly believing in Buddhism means understanding that its most essential teaching is the doctrine of samsara. If we don't understand samsara, then temporary refuge taking or temporary pursuit of blessings is not ultimately meaningful. I have spoken on the topics of end-of-life wisdom and samsara at other universities as well. But at those universities, extensive scientific evidence is required because they generally do not believe in the existence of future lives. So I often rely on scientific findings to persuade them, rather than explaining primarily through Buddhist principles. However, here, because everyone already has a Buddhist foundation, there's no doubt about the existence of past and future lives. Just like us Tibetan people who believe in Buddhism from childhood, a brief explanation of samsara is usually enough for people to grasp the idea. Today, many teachers and students from the medical school wish to help those approaching the end of life. But offering a few words of comfort may not be sufficient. It is essential to speak about samsara, that life continues. If we understand this continuity of life, then even a patient facing death can feel that their existence still holds hope. To understand this, one must understand dependent origination. Buddha taught that dependent origination has two dimensions, external and internal. Outer dependent origination refers to the process in which a seed produces a sprout. The sprout produces roots, stems, fruits, and leaves. Just like a tree, it arises from various causes and conditions: earth, water, fire, wind, and many others. All external phenomena arise in this way. This is called outer-dependent origination. What is most important for us to understand now, however, is inner-dependent origination. Inner-dependent origination refers to how each of us continues to wander in samsara, being human today, perhaps an animal tomorrow, a human in this life, an animal in the next, and possibly a celestial being again afterward. Before attaining liberation, we continuously transmigrate in this way. As people of intelligence, we must understand this process. The first point I wish to share today is that samsara has causes. Our mind also has causes. The initial cause is self-grasping, also called ignorance. Every person's clinging to I and mine is the root of all samsara. This ignorance is the first of the 12 links of dependent origination. If we don't understand the 12 links, the foundation of the Buddhist doctrine of samsara, then even if we wish to care for others, we will not truly understand how. Once there is self-grasping, we create virtuous karma and unvirtuous karma through the various actions of body, speech, and mind. This is the second of the 12 links formations. Ignorance and formations, these two are the causes that preceded our birth into this world today. After such karma is created, consciousness arises in correspondence with it. Virtuous and unvirtuous karma are stored within the alaya consciousness. This is what we call consciousness. This consciousness must continue to exist. When our physical body dies, it disintegrates, but consciousness continues on. As Dr. John Eccles, the 1963 Nobel Prize laureate, pointed out from a medical perspective, after the physical body completely dies, a non-material consciousness remains. It does not perish. From a medical perspective, we all know that every day many patients pass away, their bodies cease to exist. But when we combine the medicine and Buddhism, we see that the mind continues to transmigrate. From a philosophical perspective as well, our body may perish, but the mind doesn't necessarily perish. The famous philosopher Schopenhauer also said, while the body ultimately dies, the self does not simply vanish, it continues to exist. Philosophically, this is also how we understand it. So as I mentioned earlier, after these two preceding causes, consciousness arises and continues on. When it enters the womb, it's called name and form. Among the 5 aggregates, apart from the 4 aggregates, there's a kind of consciousness within itself. This consciousness, apart from the 4 aggregates, is what we call name. Before the physical body fully develops, there also exists a subtle form element. This is part of the second process. As I explained earlier, this 4th link of the 12 links has already been covered. The 5th link is called the 6 sense bases. For a being that has entered the womb, its eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, the 6 faculties are already complete. Before birth, these 6 faculties are already present. This is what we call the 6 bases and the 6 entries. After the 6 faculties arise, external form, sound, smell, taste, and tactile objects, together with one's internal faculties and the 6 consciousnesses, I just spoke about the 6 bases, and now contact has been explained. Once the 5 objects and 6 faculties come together, feeling arises. Feeling means that toward pleasant objects, happiness arises. Toward unpleasant objects, aversion arises. Toward objects that are neither pleasant nor unpleasant, a kind of ignorance arises. This is the neutral feeling, neither suffering nor joy. This mental state is what we call feeling. These 5 dharmas are the ripened results of past life manifesting in this life. After these results have arisen in this life, there still appear craving, grasping, and becoming. These 3 links. Craving means that one wishes to embrace pleasant sensations and refuses to endure painful sensations. This includes aversion craving, deluded craving, and attachment craving, a set of mental states comparable to the ignorance we mentioned earlier. After craving comes grasping. With craving, one further clings, and this is called grasping, which corresponds to the earlier link of formations. With these 2 causes and conditions, becoming arises. These 3 links form this life's causes for the next life. They are all created by ourselves in the present life. Once these 3 arise, the next life's birth follows. We may be born in the human realm or take birth as other beings, continuing to transmigrate elsewhere. After birth, there's also aging. All of us here eventually will age. Thus, the causes and conditions of this life become the causes and conditions of the next, and the causes and conditions of the next life become those of the life after that. Before attaining liberation, we continue revolving in samsara in this way. I hope if you have time, you will study a Buddhist scripture called the Pratitya Samutpada Sutra. Through this sutra, you will understand the causes and conditions within. Because our old age and death continuously follow from preceding ignorance, this principle is extremely important. If we don't understand the causal process of these 12 links, calling ourselves Buddhists would be rather laughable. The core thought of Buddhism acknowledges future life, past life, and present life. But if we cannot explain this cyclical process, even theoretically, and if we have not practiced it ourselves, then it is merely lip service. I hope in a Buddhist country like Thailand, where Buddhism is very flourishing, where temples can be seen everywhere, where people show deep respect for monastics, and where every layperson carries a gentle smile with a calm and peaceful state of mind. Not only our behavior conduct reflects this, but inwardly, each person also understands the principles of how we wander within samsara. Actually, I truly love Thailand. Why? Because people here have peaceful, serene minds, unburdened by excessive suffering or afflictions. Especially when I came here 14 years ago. At that time, people's minds were even healthier. Yesterday, we also spoke with several professors. When I stayed here for a week back then, I wrote down what I saw and heard, a little over 20,000 characters in length. At that time, there weren't so many tourists in Thailand. Perhaps because the movie Lost in Thailand had not yet been released. I feel that in Thailand, with so many devoted Buddhists, with children growing up already familiar with the idea of samsara, and with the compassionate care provided to those nearing death, these are things rarely found in countries where Buddhism has not deeply taken root. In other communities and countries, some people have different views of Thailand regarding issues such as gender diversity, political unrest, and other matters. But for me, as a Buddhist, Thailand's faith, religion embraced by the whole nation, is extremely rare in today's world. So speaking personally, I deeply admire Thailand's Buddhist devotion, the way people cultivate virtue, accumulate merit, do good, and refrain from wrongdoing. So as I mentioned, whether we follow Theravada Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, or the Tibetan tradition that I studied, their essential teachings are not different. Thus, the doctrine of the 12 links of dependent origination is something we all need to understand. We must understand that continuing to revolve in samsara is profoundly painful. Samsara, like a burning house, very painful. Therefore, we must break this cycle. This is a common goal for all of us. To break or unlock the code of samsara is precisely what Buddhism teaches, cultivating the wisdom of selflessness and emptiness. Without this realization of emptiness, the fundamental ignorance I mentioned earlier cannot be eliminated. I hope that all of us here, and anyone really, recognize how difficult it is to obtain a human life. But in this life, will we continue wandering in samsara as animals, as horses or oxen? Or will we, starting from this very life, burn away the seeds of our ignorance so that in the future we may attain liberation? All of us here will grow old. After aging, we will die. Birth, aging, sickness, and death are the defining features of samsara. Shakyamuni Buddha himself, as a prince, witnessed birth, aging, sickness, and death, and renounced worldly life to completely uproot the cause of samsara. Thailand has so many temples and countless monastics within them. These monastics cultivate the wisdom of selflessness and walk the path toward liberation. In some places, when someone becomes a monk, people think they have no future, and only then they ordain. But in Thailand, it's not like this. When someone becomes a monk, everyone blesses him and rejoices because he has stepped onto the path of light. Not only monastics have this path, lay people also practice continuously within their daily lives. If they use their wisdom to cut through ignorance, they too can stop wandering in samsara and attain liberation. I sincerely hope that all of you use wisdom to sever the root of samsara and diligently cultivate for this purpose. Only then can we experience lasting happiness. Thank you.